Hello students, I welcome you all to the third session of the subject Computer Concepts and C Programming. In the previous session, we learnt about the various types of software. We learnt about the programming languages and how we use programming languages to communicate with the machine by developing programs or softwares. Then we learned what is the necessity of translators, that is nothing but the program translators. So in which we learned about compilers, interpreters and assemblers. And then we learned about the program development life cycle, which is nothing but systematic approach to solve a problem. In program development life cycle, we learned the stages where the first stage is nothing but defining the problem, and then you're going to analyze the problem, and then you're going to model the problem, which is nothing but the design using some tools like graphical tools or algorithms, and then you're going to code the program by using programming languages, and then you will go for error debugging or error rectification, which is nothing but the debugging state, and then you will go for the documentation, where you prepare documentation about the program, and in the last step we go for maintenance, where we go for changes or rectification in the program. So this is what we learnt in the previous session. I hope you have understood all the concepts that has been discussed. In this session, we will look into the one of the tool of design, which is called as algorithms. How algorithms helps a programmer to model the problem, we will learn. And then we are going to learn about the characteristics of algorithms, advantages of algorithms, how do we write an algorithm, and we are going to work out some examples. Before we take up the actual concepts of algorithm, first we need to understand how this word algorithm came into existence, or how this word algorithm has been coined. Students, I have written a name of a person, Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi. He is one of the famous Persian mathematician. So algorithm name or the word is derived from his last name al-Khwarizmi. Actually, al-Khwarizmi is Latinized version is algorithm, and its English version is algorithm. So in his work, he has given how to solve quadratic equation. He has also explained the new number system combining the Hindu-Arabic number systems. So based on his works, the algorithm has been coined. So I hope you have now got an understanding about how this algorithm has been derived. Now we will see what do you mean by algorithm. So students, if you Google about the word algorithm in Wikipedia or in any website, you will get a standard basic definition, which is nothing but step-by-step procedure to solve a problem. Which means algorithm is nothing but a procedure what you write to solve a problem. How do we understand this step-by-step procedure? We shall take a simple example of preparing a cup of tea. So, if you want to know how do you prepare a cup of tea, we have to write down some instructions or some steps. In the step 1, take a pan. In step 2, pour half glass of milk and water. In the next step, put 1 tablespoon of tea powder and sugar. Step 4, boil it. And step 5, strain and put it into pour into a cup. And step 6, done, or you are done with preparing a cup of tea. So if anybody follows this procedure, can prepare a cup of tea very easily, irrespective of the person. So these are nothing but you are representing a problem in the form of steps. This is what the idea behind the algorithm. So students, you need to understand that whenever we want to solve a problem in computers, we will not directly write the programming instructions using programming language. What we do generally is, before that we use algorithms and model the problem. Here this helps us to understand the problem very much. So this is the idea behind the algorithm. Now we will see what are the characteristics of algorithm, and then we'll also see the advantages of algorithm. Whenever you write an algorithm, you need to have or ensure that certain characteristics are there in the algorithm, or it is satisfied by the algorithm. The very first step is it should produce correct output for the correct input, which means the algorithm, what it is intended to do, has to do it properly or correctly without any errors. Whatever inputs you are giving, if it is correct, then it has to give a correct output. So this is the first characteristics of algorithm. Next, each step should be executed in finite amount of time. I am underlining time because whatever you are going to solve, it has to be executed in the computer. So everything has to be in respect to time, because if it is executing in an infinite number of time, then it will not be terminated. So that is the next characteristics, that is algorithm should terminate after its execution, or after you follow all the steps, it has to gracefully terminate. Students, for your knowledge, I want to share, there is one algorithm which will not terminate once you are working on it, or once it starts to execute. That algorithm is called as the operating system. So the operating system is a classical example of an algorithm which never terminate until you hit the shutdown button. So that is one of the algorithm which never terminate. But generally, in general, all the algorithm should terminate. Even the operating system also has to terminate upon command given by the instruction or instructor or the user. So these are the characteristics of the algorithm. I hope you have understood these concepts. If you have understood, we will go to the next step, that is nothing but advantages of algorithm. I'm retaining some of the things on the board. In order to save some time. So what is the advantages of algorithm? Why do you have to do one additional step before you develop the program? Isn't it time wasting? No, it is not time wasting. It certainly has some advantages. We'll see that one by one. The very first advantage is it is independent of programming language, which means algorithm can be transformed or converted into any programming language of your choice, whether it is C, C++, Java, Python. Once you write the algorithm, you can use any programming language and start implementing or coding. The next is it is simple and easy to understand. Once you have defined the steps, like how I took an example of preparing a tea, it is very easy to read, understand, and also it is easy to implement by any of the programmer. The next advantage is you can estimate the performance of algorithm. You can estimate the performance of algorithm means whether how much time it takes to execute, how much resources it uses with respect to memory. So these concepts you are going to study in a separate subject called analysis and design of algorithm. So generally algorithm can be tested or for performance with respect to how much time it requires and how much space it requires in the memory. So these are the advantages of algorithm. If you are clear, then we'll go to the next. And if you have not understood, you can again rewind and listen to the lecture once again. This is the advantages of video lectures. Now we will see that we have completed introduction to algorithms, characteristics of algorithms, advantages of algorithms. Now we will see how to write an algorithm, which is nothing but a question mark. Students, I have written an algorithm for preparing a tea. There is no standardized way of writing an algorithm. Keep this in mind. Whereas if you are going for another kind of design tools like flowchart or whatever it is, DFD and all, then you have to write it in a standardized way. Whereas algorithm, there is no in textbook or in literature standardized way, but it is up to the programmer to write the algorithms in a own form, standard way. So generally there are two formats of writing an algorithm. I will explain to you both. Here I will write format 1. Here I am going to write another format, that is format 2. Let's take a simple example of addition of two numbers, and then we are going to explain both the formats. Addition of two numbers is a very basic and fundamental program. So you can just write it as add addition of two numbers. So if this is a process, how many inputs you have to give? Obviously 2 means 2 inputs. You can call that input as either AB or N1 and N2. It is up to you to use any characters to represent the input. And how many output it gives? It gives only one output, which we can call it as sum of two numbers. So with this we come to know that this algorithm takes two inputs and produces one output. And in this rectangular symbol we are going to write down the we are going to represent the steps. What is the step? The step is very easy. Sum is equal to a plus b. So this is the step to compute the equation to compute sum of two numbers. Now we shall write the algorithm for the same. Step 1, start. Step 2, accept n1 and n2, that is the first and second input. Step 3, after accepting the input, you write down the equation. Sum is equal to n1 plus n2. Once you have computed, you have to display the result to the outside world. You just use display sum. Once you have done it, gracefully terminate by specifying the word stop. So this is the first format of writing down the algorithm, which is closely the same for the example I have taken to prepare a cup of tea. Now I will show you another technique of another format of writing an algorithm. While we were videographing this lecture, all of a sudden power went off, so we had to stop during format 2 explanation. I am going to continue from the same place. Okay, algorithm format 2. So the first step is write down the word algorithm and name of the algorithm. In the next step, write the inputs n1 and n2 and what output this algorithm gives you are going to write down over here. You can call it as sum, and in the next section you are going to write the method. Here in this case it's a very simple algorithm. Sum is equal to n1 plus n2, and then you can write this stop. Actually this is also not required, you can just cut off over here itself. Here you don't need to write output statement or input statement like how you have written here, display and accept. So it is assumed when you are specifying as input and output. So these are the two techniques of writing or format of writing algorithm. Now students, you might ask me, sir, which one to follow? It is your choice. If you are liking format 2, you can go ahead with format 2. If you like format 1, you can go with format 1. It is up to your decision. So I personally like this format of writing algorithms. Now I hope you have understood the two formats of writing the algorithm. Now we are going to work out some examples of algorithm, and these are very basic examples we are going to learn. Since you are all beginners to computer science, I am going to take up and solve simple problems to make you understand how we model the problem using algorithms. The very first problem we are going to take is algorithm to compute simple interest. So students, simple interest computation is again very basic. So what is the formula? Everybody knows the formula. Simple interest is equal to principal into time into rate whole divided by 100. So if you know this formula, writing down the algorithm will be very easy. So we are going to write the next section, input. So looking at the formula, what are the inputs for this algorithm? Obviously 100 cannot be input because it is a constant. So P, T and R are the inputs. P, T and R. And again R also can be defined as rate of interest, 10%, 5%, whatever it is. But I will consider this as input. Next, what is the output? It generates SI, that is simple interest. What is the method? SI is equal to, write down the formula, that's it. P into T into R whole divided by 100. So this, if you want, you can write stop, your wish. So this is a simple algorithm to compute simple interest. Okay? If you have understood this, we'll go to the next. Next problem, we'll take conversion problem. What conversion? Conversion from Celsius to Fahrenheit. So if you are giving temperature in Celsius, we need to get the Fahrenheit value. For that also we have a standard formula. F is equal to Celsius into 1.8 plus 32. So this is the formula. Now we'll name the algorithm as convert or Celsius to Fahrenheit. What are the inputs? Look at the equation. On the RHS you have 1.8 and 32. These are all constants. The only thing is variable, what you can see is C, which is nothing but the input C. And what is the output? It is nothing but the LHS. F. What is the method? Write down the formula. C is equal to, F is equal to C into 1.8 plus 32. Okay? So this is one more simple problem to represent using algorithm. We'll take one more problem. Check or a number is odd or even. Suppose we give a number, a whole number, we need to check whether that number what we supplied as input is an even number or an odd number. To understand this, first we'll write down some numbers: 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, so now human beings are intelligent. Looking at the numbers, we can come to know that yes, these which are the odd numbers and which are the even numbers. But we need to make the computer understand. We need to teach the computer how to find out. So we will go with the general technique which is called as the brute force way of solving this problem. So here we are going to first try to divide this 10 by 1. If you divide 10 by 1, 11 by 1, we will get the same number. So there is no use of dividing the number by 10. Next number we will take it as 2 and divide it. 2 5s are 10 and we got the remainder 0. Then we are going to divide the next number. 2 5s are 10 and 1 is the remainder. Similarly, we will do one more division for one more number. 2 6s are 12 and we got 0. 2 into 11, 13. 2 6s are 12 and we got 1. So I think this is enough. So if you now observe closely, for even numbers we are getting remainder 0. For odd number, we are getting remainder as 1. Yes, this is the clue to solve this problem. So if we take that number, divide by 2 and check the remainder is 0, means it is a even number. If it is a non-zero, it means it is a odd number. So this is the way of solving this problem. So students, how do we check the remainder? In our programming languages, we use a standard operator called percentage operator, which gives the remainder. Okay, so we are going to use the same operator over here. So what is the input? Only one number. Input. Output is nothing but a message. The message can be either odd or even. What is the method? We need to divide that number and we are going to use the remainder operator. So that remainder operator we are going to write down first, and then the operation for division is 2, and then n we need to do. And then we need to check whether this remainder is equal to 0 or not. So is equal to 0 in computer science or programming language, we will not use equal to symbol, we will use double equal to symbol to represent or to match the numbers. So if this operation turns out to be 0, if this operation means I need to write a if statement. If this operation turns out to be 0, then what? Then display, or you can just say even. No need to mention display also, just you can just say even. If it is non-zero, then it is a else display odd. Stop. So this is an example, very easily modeled using algorithm. Now we can take any programming language and implement it and create a simple program to check whether a number is odd or even. Likewise, we can do many problems like to check whether the number is divisible by 5 or not. All these examples can be done with the help of same kind of operations using remainder operator. Next, we'll solve one more problem for this session and we'll stop. One more classical problem, that is basic problem in computer science while teaching programming, that is nothing but to find greatest of three numbers. To find greatest of three numbers. Suppose there are 3 students. His name is A, B and C. If student A has secured 90%, student B has secured 85% and student C has secured 60%. Now, who is the highest? Human beings are very intelligent. Looking at the numbers, we have been trained how to find out which is the greatest. So we can come to know that greatest is 90. But we need to teach the computer how to find out by writing down the steps. What would be the steps? The steps would be like this. First, we have to take the number, the marks of A and compare it with B and C. That is nothing but check whether marks of A is greater than B and greater than C. If it is so, then A is greatest. Okay? Then if it is not true, then A is not the greatest. Then we are left with only B and C. Now we need to check only B and C. Is B greater than C? If so, then if it is true, then B is greatest. If this also fails, then the last number is nothing but the C. C is greatest. I hope you have understood this example. So we are going to write down the steps for that. So what are the input for this? 3 numbers, keep this in mind, 3 numbers, N1, or we can write ABC only since we have taken the same number so that there is no confusions, A, B and C. What is the output? Message which tells greatest is dash, that is nothing but greatest of 3 numbers or 3 inputs. Which is that greatest? That is nothing but greatest number. Next, the method. First, what I said, take the number A, check with B and also check with C. If A is greater than B and greater than C, then what? A is greatest. Okay. Else what? We are left with only, we came to know that if this fails, then A is not the greatest. Then we need to only check with B and C. If else, if B is greater than C, then B is greatest. If this also fails, then last, else C is greatest. Stop. So this is the simple explanation or simple steps to check whether a number greatest among 3 numbers. Now students, I want you all to substitute values for A, B and C and then simulate, in the sense write down the each instruction by substituting and check whether these things are turning out to be true or false for giving various kinds of input. So what you do is first take the same example, then assign 60 to A, then 90 to B and then maybe some other number to C, and then again do the same procedure. If you do that, then only you will be able to decode the solution or understand the problem. Else it will be difficult for everybody to conceptualize the problem, how it is solved. So this is all about the basic problems in algorithm. I hope you have understood. So in this session we have covered the definition of algorithm, features and advantages of algorithm, and we came to know the 2 formats of writing algorithm, and we worked out some good number of examples. And with respect to your examination, so they were going to ask you advantages and characteristics. So I can mark this as 4-star rating, and they will ask you some examples to write. They'll ask you some questions to write algorithm. So I will write this also as 4-star. So guarantee one of these will appear for your examination. Thank you.